Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Pear Deck 101 webinar. My name is Erin, and I work on our customer support team, and I'm here to present today's webinar. Right now, I'm sharing my screen, and I'm just going to share some slides with you. I'm also going to give you a tutorial on how to build Pear Deck presentations, as well as how to present Pear Deck in instructor-paced and student-paced mode. So I'm just going to give you a demo today. There's no presentation for you to join, but follow along with me by watching. And if you feel comfortable, then on your own screen, you can try to follow along with what I'm doing at a certain point here, because I'm going to show you exactly how to build slides and how to present your own interactive Pear Deck presentations. So the reason why we're here, we find that active learning has a significant impact on students and on achievement gaps, and that students tend to do better on tests and retain more information when we use active learning as opposed to just using a traditional lecture format. So this is what we're going for with Pear Deck interactive slides, and that we're trying to create an equitable learning environment that gives each student a fair chance at success and a voice in your class. So with Pear Deck, you can make any Google Slides or PowerPoint online presentation interactive so that every single student participates right from their own device, whether you're doing this in a live classroom, which you can see is depicted on the bottom left corner of the screen, or whether you're doing this on a remote call in the top right corner of the screen. Pear Deck is useful in both settings. Now, when you start presenting a live instructor-paced session, you open the projector view, and this view is meant to be shared with the class. You can share it on a presenter screen or a monitor in front of a live classroom, or you can share it on your conference call, which is exactly what I'm doing today. And if you'll look at my screen, I just highlighted the URL, and you can see in the URL that it says projector. So we know that we're looking at the projector view. And by the way, there's no need to join this session today. We definitely have a lot of people joining the call, and Pear Deck is designed for a large classroom, and I'm not sure how many, maybe 1,000 people will join today. So please don't join any session today, but you can see here on my screen that this is the projector view. When you're running a session with Pear Deck, a live session like this one, the projector view gives you navigation controls when you hover over the bottom of the screen. So that's what I'll use, and that's what you'll use whenever you present. The student view will sync up, and you'll see exactly what that looks like in a little bit. Now with Pear Deck, you can also present a student-paced session. And when you do that, students have the navigation controls on their screen, so you don't have to be there. So that's why student-paced is so great for remote learning. It's great for differentiating instruction in a live classroom setting, assigning homework, and all kinds of other things. Also, you will have a way to see students' names in Pear Deck. And I want to be really clear that when you're presenting a live session and you're sharing this projector view, the responses that you collect and display there are anonymous by default. So students don't have to worry about being called out for their answer, and even the shyest students participate. That's why everyone participates in Pear Deck. But you can see names in a private teacher dashboard view. And looking at that image at the bottom corner, you can see that the dashboard is being held on a tablet. And the dashboard syncs up to the projector view, so you can use it to control a presentation and, of course, review individual students' responses. So there you have it, the three views of Pear Deck: the projector view, where responses are anonymous by default, the dashboard where you're going to see names, and the student view where students will join your presentation and leave those responses so you can collect them in real time. So the first step to working with Pear Deck is to build slides, and you'll do that by using either the Pear Deck add-on in Google Slides or the add-in in PowerPoint online. So I want to talk about that and show you exactly how this works. So I've set aside an example presentation. Now, keep in mind that you can actually add Pear Deck interactivity to any Google Slides or PowerPoint online presentation. It doesn't matter how old it is or how recent your add-on is. If you just got it today, you can open any slides presentation. So let's go ahead and find that one again. My example deck. What you'll do is create your slides in the editor. Just like always, you're going to add prompts and questions and images, anything that you want students to see. Go ahead and put it on your slides using the editing tools. This first slide is a normal Google slide. It's not interactive at this point. I just added a simple prompt. In some cases, I like to keep my slides really simple to reduce cognitive load on the students, because I'm going to add interactivity. It's going to be a call to action, and I want students to do the thinking on their own. So in Google Slides, Pear Deck is an add-on. So I'm clicking add-ons. If you haven't gotten it yet, go to Get Add-ons, and you'll find Pear Deck there. You can install Pear Deck for free, and there are lots of things you can do with a free version of Pear Deck. Once you've added it, then come back to add-ons and find the Pear Deck for Google Slides add-on. Then you'll open it. And it opens up the sidebar for you. This is what you're going to use to do all of your work with Pear Deck. So add your prompts, add your questions, your images using the Google Slides or PowerPoint online editing tools, and then come over to your sidebar and make those slides interactive. The first thing you'll see is the template library, and this is full of pre-made slide templates, which are great for when you're just getting started or when you want to insert lesson builders or some learning development slides. These are all tailored for specific subject areas or content. And in some cases, like in social emotional learning and critical thinking, you can add these to any type of lesson, and they're going to help develop your students' skills no matter what you're teaching. Okay, let's go back really quick. Your second option is to make custom interactive slides under Ask Students a Question. So you can take any slide and make it interactive with Pear Deck. Now, here's a question for maybe a Spanish teaching class. And I am going to choose an option here, like multiple choice. So I'm clicking on choice. And you can insert responses for students. All of these are customizable, of course. I'm just going to choose a few. Make sure my spelling is correct. All right, so I'm updating my slide. And here's the really important part. There's a Pear Deck footer at the bottom of it. This footer is what makes it interactive. You can see the pair, and you can see exactly what type of interactivity it has. Students are going to choose one of those options that I inserted. And if you open your speaker notes section, you can see the instructions are inserted there. Those are just there for your reference. This isn't going to show up in your speaker notes. What you type in here will during the presentation, but the Pear Deck notes, they don't actually have any effect on the interactivity. The important thing is that footer at the bottom of the slide. And if you want to change options, go back to your sidebar, click on multiple choice again, and you can edit here. Now for this example, I also like to show you slide audio. And you probably already noticed this in the sidebar. Add audio to slide. That's a Pear Deck feature that is really special because it allows you to make an original recording. So it's easy to customize instructions for your students. That's why this is really awesome for remote learning, because you can leave instructions for students to follow throughout the lesson. They will be able to play them when you present a session to them. And they can also replay it when they go back to the slide if you're using a student-paced session. So this is great for communicating directly with students and also for supplementing any type of language teaching. So we'll do an example. When you click on slide audio, then you can upload a file. If you're a music teacher, you can upload a pre-recorded file from your computer, or you can record one yourself. ¿De dónde eres? All right, so I paused it. I'm going to save it. I'm going to review my file. ¿De dónde eres? And that'll do for now. All right, I'm adding it to my slide, and you're going to see an icon appear. This icon is actually what saves the file. Students are going to be able to play this during a live Pear Deck session. So it's really important to be starting a Pear Deck session. But this lets you know that the file's saved. You can move it around. Just important that you leave it there. And if you want to change it or review it, you can click on Add Audio to Slide, update it here, delete it here, or you can simply delete that icon from your slide. Now, you can add audio to any type of slide, non-interactive, interactive, with any sort of response. It's totally up to you. The second slide here is actually a slide template, and I edited it so that it would reflect my theme. But let's take a look at those templates again. Again, going to the template library, and you can scroll down and see the categories here. So I got this one from World Languages, and you can see it has a bit more color there, but these are all interactive already. You can see exactly what interactivity they have, and you can edit them right here in any way that you want. To continue our examples, I have a good question for what we call a draggable slide. So I'm going back, all the way back to the main menu, and under Ask Students a Question, I'm going to choose draggable, because when I put draggables on the slide, students can drag them all over the screen when I present a session for them. When you click on draggable, you can customize that option. Now you can add multiple draggables, up to 5, to any Pear Deck slide. In this case, I'm just going to choose one, and I'm using my drop-down menu to customize that. You have all sorts of icons, but the vertical line is particularly suited to this one. Now you can change the color by clicking on the color field, and the size of it with the slider. When you're ready, go ahead and update that slide. And as I'm sure you have guessed, you're going to see that Pear Deck footer. And also you can see the type of icon that students will be able to use on this slide. Next, this one has multiple draggables. I actually copied this from a different deck. You can do this with any presentation just like you would normally with Google Slides or PowerPoint Online. I'm just actually right-clicking, and what I would do is click copy and then open that new deck or presentation, and I would paste it in, and that's exactly what I did here. Oh, and by the way, because it was interactive with Pear Deck, that interactivity remains when I copy and paste the slide. All right, so this one, I've added a map. I inserted this map from the Google Slides tools. I went to image and I searched the web. That is usually the easier option, but you can add one from your computer as well. I've added a text box. I'm just going to make this a drawing slide, and you're going to see when I present that students have that array of drawing tools that they can use over this map. So I just click draw. And that became a drawing slide. The students get the same tools on every drawing slide, and they can draw over every part of your slide. Now, this might be a great follow-up question to get students to think more deeply about their responses. And so in this case, I'll use a text response slide. There's really no limit to the amount of text a student can type in to a text response slide. I think one time a student tried to paste in a movie script. I don't know if that worked, but any normal essay response or even short text response will work in a text response slide. So let's add that. Okay, we're all set. Moving along to the next one. All right, so video works in a couple of different ways with Pear Deck. If you're presenting live like I'm doing right now, and you're planning to make this an instructor-based session where students are going to join and then they're going to see your projector view. Again, that projector view, I presented one to you already. You can see it says projector here in my URL. And in this view, of course, the responses you share, they're anonymous by default, but you can also play videos there, provided that you get the Power Up extension. The Power Up is an extension for Chrome, and it allows you to play videos and also Google Slides animations. So this works with Google Slides, the Pear Deck for Google Slides add-on, and it works in Chrome, and it's free. And I've linked our help documentation here so I can show you really quickly. You can find this at help.peardeck.com, and the Power Up is available through the Chrome store. So we have linked it here, and you can learn more about it in this document as well. So back to my presentation. Now, so if I insert a video from my Google Slides menu and I go to video, I'll have the option to add one from YouTube or another place. I can play that on the projector view for the students. But you can also configure this so that students can play a video on their own screen on the student view when they join your presentation. And in order to do that, you will need to create a website slide. So I click on website, and this is where I'm going to add a video. You can add, of course, a different website, like Wikipedia is the example that is given here. You can see that it's interactive in the preview, that I can click on the links. Everything works. That means it's going to work for students within the slide during a presentation session. So YouTube videos, all YouTube videos will work. Lots of other types will work too, like Edpuzzle, Loom videos, and they have a very similar method for embedding, but we do need an embed URL. That's what we need. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And while I'm showing you YouTube, oh, I have a long list of bookmarks. I'm going to our YouTube channel, which is full of pre-recorded content from all sorts of webinars and some shorter help videos. So whether you're looking for a longer review or just a quick tips video, there are all kinds of options here. So let's just look at this student-paced video as an example. Say that I want to embed this into my Pear Deck presentation. And so the same thing with any YouTube video. Underneath the video, click share. Really important, because the web URL, the watch URL, that's not going to work in a Pear Deck website slide. But if I click share and then embed, we're looking for the embed URL. So I'm clicking embed. Again, you won't need to do this with every type of website, but for activities, interactive, fun interactive activities, videos, get the embed URL. Here it is. Now, we just need the part between the frame references. So I just highlighted that. I just want that URL. I'm just leaving out the quotation marks and the frame references, and I'm using my keyboard command to copy that URL, and I'm taking it back to my website slide, pasting it in. Now this lovely quick tips video is appearing, it's working. I know students will be able to play it when they reach my slide, and you'll see that footer inserted here to let me know. Some websites won't work. They block themselves from being embedded, and so there's nothing we can do about that. But if you paste the URL into the website slide, students can click on it. It becomes a hyperlink during your presentation. I made another website slide. I embedded a PhET simulation. Some of you may be familiar with that, but just for fun, I'm going to show you what this looks like. This website is full of really cool interactive modules for students. And again, I clicked on one and I clicked on embed. And what we're doing is the same thing, is that we're highlighting that embed URL between the frame references. And I took that, I made a website slide, and I pasted it in. So now we can see we can see in the Pear Deck footer that that's ready for my students. They'll be able to interact with that activity. Just to follow up here on our examples, I want to make sure we include everything. So I made a number slide, and you're going to see when I present this that students will be able to enter a number response. So you can see the number option here under Ask Students a Question. And I inserted a GIF here just for fun. So if you insert a GIF on your slide like this, make sure you have that Power Up extension. And again, you can find more information about that at help.peardeck.com, and you can search for the Power Up to learn about how to present those animations, GIFs, and videos on the projector view. It's optional. You don't need it. But if you want to present those things, go ahead and get the Power Up. Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at a session. I'm going to present a demo session. I have a few mystery staff members who are going to join it so that you can see what it looks like on the student view. So I'm going to ask you folks not to join this session, please, and thank you, because I don't know how many of you are out there, but we're going to be really careful right now because Pear Deck is designed for a large classroom, and we've had 100 people join a session very successfully. But if there are 1,000 of you, this might not work out so well. So let's try this out with our little group. Now I am back here in my sidebar, and to start a lesson with Pear Deck, I'm clicking this green button, very important because this is also what makes it interactive. So when you start a lesson, you can start it in instructor paced or student paced mode. And in instructor paced mode, you're going to open the projector view, and you're going to use that or the dashboard to lead students through the slides. So I'm going to choose that right now. We will look at student paced though. When you launch a session and when you click present lesson, you automatically start a new presentation session, and every presentation session gets a unique join code and a unique link. And they do the same thing. They get students into your session. So you can instruct students to go to joinpd.com and provide them with that 5-letter code, in this case NBYLZ. Again, for those mystery staffers who are in the background, or you would be able to click give students a link just like that. The link is copied to the clipboard, and you can send it to them. You can also invite them through Google Classroom. If you have a Google Classroom integration, then you can choose specific classes that you want, and those students will see their invitation either at joinpd.com, or they'll be able to click on the link to join your session. Just makes it all a little smoother. I'm going to join my own session too, so I can demo this for you. You can join your own session at any time if you want the full preview of what it's going to look like when you present. So go ahead and just present a session. There's no limit to the number of sessions you can present with Pear Deck. And so you can preview it this way at any time. Now, as you can see, when I started that session, I automatically opened the projector view. You can see it says projector up there, so I know where I am. And then I joined it with this link. So now I can see that I'm in the student view, highlighting student in that second screen. This is going to become really important in a moment. Oh, I turned on classroom climate in my Pear Deck home settings. That's your app home. We'll look at that in a moment. But now every time I start a session, students can indicate how they're doing, and I can get a good pulse on my students before I start my lesson. Okay, so really excited now because we get to see those examples that I made in the editor. Now we get to see them in motion here in a live session. And on that first slide, you can see audio is included. And you going to the student view, now I can play this audio by clicking here on the headphones, and the audio player opens. ¿De dónde eres? And my mediocre recording is, there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and choose an option that makes the most grammatical sense. And going back to the projector view now, this is my teacher view. I'm displaying it to the class because it's the projector view. And I can see in real time how many responses I've received, 16 out of the 40 who joined the session, which is getting up there. So please don't join the session, please just observe. Now I'm gonna go ahead and click on the Show Responses button on my navigation bar and just do this whenever you're ready to share responses. And on the multiple choice slide, you can see a nice tally of those responses. So it's really easy to poll your students with a multiple choice slide like this. Also, the responses you save are automatically saved in your Pear Deck sessions. You can review them during the session or after the session. As soon as you collect them, they're saved. And when I move on to the next slide, they can't be changed either. So here's that draggable example. And on going into the student view, you can see that I have the line. I'm just clicking right on the line. So anytime you have a draggable slide, students are just going to click on those draggables and move them like this. Now I'm going back to the presenter view, the projector view, sharing responses, and on a draggable slide, the default display is an overlay layout, which means you see all of them at the same time. So you get a quick aggregate of all of your students' responses. It's just a lovely way to see how everyone's doing with a particular question and for them to see their work as a class. And then I want to point out too, when you're sharing responses, that you can change the layout in the top left corner of the screen. So this is an overlay layout, and I'm hovering over it. You can see it says overlaid, but you have other options like the grid layout. And so that shows you thumbnails of the responses. This can be particularly helpful if you made a draggable like a lot bigger relative to the image. But I also like a list layout on this one, because then when I have a list layout, I can scroll through individual examples. And this is a nice way to point out like a good example like this one, or a common misconception, or something that's just like a little bit off. And nobody gets embarrassed because they're all anonymous. So here's that other draggable slide once again. And so on the student view, again, I'm just going to move these draggables just by clicking on them. This works really well for young students too. It's an intuitive process, once they get the hang of it, and it's just sort of really user-friendly even for small children. And then again, on the projector view, when I share responses, you're going to see them come through in real time. And then the overlay layout's nice when you have so many draggables moving around on the screen, and you can start to see us centering around those responses. All right, so here's that drawing slide, if you recall, but you can also see, you can sort of see on my projector view. You can certainly see it easily though on the student view. So students will know exactly what they're being called to do if they look at that footer. And when you have a drawing slide, you have access to all of these tools, all these colors, and also pencil, highlighter tool, straight line tool, text response, and an eraser. And you can resize all of these. So I'll just do like sort of a basic drawing to demonstrate, and bringing it back again to our projector view. Now, normally when I'm presenting, I'm not going to have the student view open. This is just sort of for demo purposes. Normally what you'll do is have the projector view open and then the dashboard. We'll look at that in a moment. So I'm showing responses here. Again, we're looking at a list layout. on the drawing slide, and I can scroll through one example at a time, which is really nice for students to see what their peers think as well. Again, you can change that layout, so you're going to see lovely display thumbnails of responses, and with an overlay layout, you're going to see all of the drawings on the same map. So this is a nice way to see how your class is doing as a whole, if they're getting it. It's also a collaborative activity because they can see that their drawing is being included in real time on the same projector view. All right, so I've talked about the dashboard enough. I want to show it to you. The dashboard's that third view. Once again, we have the projector view for the class, and we have the student view for each individual student. The dashboard view is the private teacher view. And if you have access to Pear Deck Premium, because this is one of the most important premium features, then you can open it from your navigation bar in a new window or new device, because Pear Deck syncs up to your Google account or your Microsoft Office 365 account and knows when you open that new device, if you're logged into Pear Deck with the same account, then you'll open the dashboard for this session. Another way to do it is to open your Pear Deck Home. Pear Deck Home can be found on the Pear Deck website, and if you're new or if you are a veteran user, either way, you'll want to know about your Pear Deck Home. When you're just starting a new account, come to peardeck.com and click on Teacher Login. Or if you're coming back and just wanting to see your account information, also click on Teacher Login. By the way, if you're just starting an account, you will need a Google account or Microsoft Office 365 account to create a Pear Deck account. We store your files in PowerPoint Online or Google Slides and other types of files that you can publish with Google. We store all of those there, and that's why we need your permission to access those platforms. So here's my home, and you can see that I have a launcher into Google Slides and some other fun activities that are available with Google. For example, Pear Deck Vocabulary, which unfortunately I don't have time to cover today, but that is a free app that's available when you log in with Google, a flashcard creation app for your students, and it's awesome. But I'm in a cover 6 right now, so scrolling, you can see all of my recent files. Now, if I scroll through, I can see them. They're all in chronological order. If they're not here, though, they're in your Drive. So go ahead and click Open File from Drive and just search for it. The purpose of having these here is to sort of help you organize sessions and also launch new sessions if you want from here, too. Like I said earlier, you can launch from the site on Google or PowerPoint Online. You can also launch from here if you find your file. I clicked on my file and see a little sessions menu. These are all the sessions that I've presented with this particular deck. You can see the one on the top has a live status. That is the one that I just started presenting to you. And I can click here if I want to see exactly who's in that session. I can change the status here as well, even turning on student paste mode. I can end the session so nobody can join, even if they have the join code or link. I can name it here. I can also, importantly, I can open this dashboard view. And this is that private view that shows you students' names next to their responses. So let's take a look. Now, the dashboard is always going to show you that projector preview on the right, and on the left, you can see the slide navigator, which is always open. The Google Slides notes just appear because this is the private view. You can use these, though, for your presentation if you like having notes. The Google Slides speaker notes are going to appear except for the instructions, but anything you type here shows up in your dashboard view. And the projector view, by the way, there's a lot you can do. You can open them also in the projector view. So back here in my dashboard, I'm going to scroll. Actually, well, before I scroll, we're on this drawing slide. This is the overlay layout. But if I change the layout from grid to list, now I can see some names. So when you're looking at reviewing responses for formative assessment purposes, or if you're looking at grading, for example, what you want to do is select the slide in the dashboard. You can even search for the student's name. I just do like a Command F. Read Command F, and I found my response right there. Now, in addition to that, the dashboard and the projector view sync up. So if I go back to a previous slide where we had some draggable responses, by the way, in the dashboard, if I hover over those responses, you can see everyone's name appearing here. Going back to the projector view, it's synced up with the dashboard for the same session, which is why having a dashboard open on a different device is going to help you control the projector view as if it was a remote control. So you can open the dashboard on your tablet, even your phone, although the more you can see it, the better. You can put the projector view on a monitor, put the dashboard on a personal computer, or you can hold the two screens open next to each other if students are working remotely. Back on the dashboard. Now, if I change back to a grid layout, you can see some other features here, like you're seeing some stars, for example. Those stars are going to let you highlight responses on the projector view. So we can just choose a couple of examples and get something that's a little more. There we go. So going back to the projector view, now we can just see the responses that I highlighted. I'm going to clear stars. Similarly, I can hide responses. I'm just going to pick on a couple of people here. And this is a great way to control for anything distracting or inappropriate, or just allow you to curate what you show on the projector view. The dashboard is what gives you control. So when you hide them, they're faded. They're not deleted. There's not a way for teachers to delete student responses because we err on the side of caution and don't want to lose student work. But if you're concerned at all or just need to control what's showing up on the projector, this is how to do it. And you can click on the more actions next to the student's name. The final icon that you're seeing here is a little speech bubble. And this is the teacher feedback option. So if I click on this, then I can leave feedback for an individual student. And it goes to that student screen only. So because I want to demonstrate this to you, I'm going to leave feedback for myself as a student. Just something really simple in this case, but you can type anything. So this is a great way to help develop students' skills when they're learning remotely and you can't be there with them. Because students see this feedback and they can change their responses. So you can type anything. I'm going to send that feedback. Now, on the student view, the student gets a notification, and you can see this notification on the bottom right corner of the screen. So I'm opening that up, and I can mark it as red. That notification will go away. But if the session is active, especially if it's in student pace mode, then I can still change my response as a student. Mark that as red. Speaking of student pace mode, I want to be able to show you that before we're out of time. When you start a session, you can immediately start it in student pace mode. And when you do that, if you have premium, then you're going to be able to start it and open the dashboard. But it is possible to toggle back and forth between the two modes. And here's what happens. If I go to my navigation bar and I click more actions and turn on student pace right here, now it's suddenly in student pace mode. And here is the student view. And importantly, you can see on my student view, now I have arrows at the bottom of the slide. I'm just going to click through the slides as a student, and now I can leave responses to anything that comes up. Now remember that this slide with the video that I put directly on the slide. It doesn't play on the student view, but I can play videos that were embedded into a website slide now on my student view. So I can start playing this one. And if I want students to answer a question about that, then I would have added a text response slide to follow this, for example. And here's that PhET simulation that I grabbed and embedded into this slide. And now I can interact with it as a student. All right, I'm going to get us back to our original presentation, and just really quickly, I want to talk about how you can review and publish responses. And one of the best ways to review is to open that dashboard, which you can do when the session is over. By the way, I can turn off student pace mode at any time. I can also end the session here, but at any point, you can open the dashboard and review responses. When you log into Pear Deck with Google, you can also publish responses in a couple of ways. Taking us back to the Pear Deck home, I'm just gonna find my dashboard, and I'm going back to app.peardeck.com/home. And I have bookmarked this, and I suggest that if you're gonna become a Pear Deck user, this is, in addition to your slides editors, this is a very important site, as it contains all of your account information and settings that you can find by clicking on your avatar or your picture. Now, you can find a larger sessions menu here as well by clicking on the Sessions tab. And remember, sessions are individual presentation sessions of a Pear Deck. So your Pear Deck is your slides presentation, and every time you click Start Lesson, that's a new presentation session. And the purpose of this is to collect responses in one place, and those responses are saved in the session automatically, and this is how you'll review them. You can keep any session running as long as you want, and especially if you're going to run a student pace session, you can come here to this menu, find that session, make sure that it's live. So for example, I can end the session here and reopen it. The same way, it does have to be live in order to turn on student pace mode. So the status is changed to student pace, and I know this is ready. I just need to make sure my students get the join code or link, and I'm going to do that by clicking on the projector or dashboard view and getting that info from either of those views. And then I can shut down my device and let students work all week, and then come back and turn off this session when I'm ready for them to stop working. So it might be nice to give them a warning and say that this assignment is due Friday at 3 p.m. And then at Friday at 3 p.m., I'm going to come back here, and I'm just going to either turn off student pace, but probably end the session. Nobody can even log in at this point. Their responses are saved. Now, when you've collected all the responses you want, you can, with Google specifically, you can publish takeaways. That's also a premium feature, or export responses to a spreadsheet available with the free plan. Both of these options are directly published to your Google Drive, and you can find them automatically in a Pear Deck folder really quickly. And all right, we're going to wrap up, and actually we should probably be wrapping up now. So let me just refer you to where those are published. Like I said, we need access to your drive. We can store all these files, and making it really convenient for you to find them later. And when you start publishing files, these folders are created for you in Drive under Pear Deck. And you're going to see here in a moment, I have 2 of them for reasons. You'll just have one here in your account, because one of these is a tester file. You'll see that, and you can open them and find all of those types of things. If you want to learn more about any types of files, just come to our knowledge base. I highly suggest checking out the knowledge base to learn about the specific features. Help.peardeck.com. You can check out our Twitter page for important news, and also email us, help@peardeck.com, for For any support questions, any questions about Pear Deck at all, we'll get you to the right place. Also, for joining today, you have earned 3 months of Pear Deck Premium access, and you can see the link is available here in your screen. So this should work for you if you haven't used a code like this before, or if you've used it once. So if you've either used it 0 times, this code should work for you to get instant 90-day premium trial. Thank you so much for being here today, and we hope that you have fun using Pear Deck.